News where you live. 5 News starts with breaking news.
Well, we're looking at new video from Sky 5 showing likely tornado damage in Van Buren. This is damage at the Housing Authority on Chestnut Street, just south of Main. Emergency managers on the ground report just under 50 structures are damaged. About a dozen of those have significant damage or are destroyed entirely. Thankfully, they're not reporting major injuries. And 5 News anchor Jill Ellison is in Van Buren right now. She's been out there all morning and she joins us live right now with an update on the storm damage, and also you've been talking to some residents there, Joe.
Yeah, definitely. You know, they say whenever this came through, it was quick and they woke up to their neighborhood looking just like this. Now, I'm going to step all the way so you can get a closer look at this home. This is on Osher Lane or Osher Circle and South 19th Street. Now, this home belonged to Karen, 77 years old. Her family was here earlier and they say she was asleep whenever this happened. She woke up and she could see the sky and it was raining on her face. Now this home doesn't have a front to it. The roof is completely gone. Karen is okay, thankfully, no injuries. Her family took her from the scene, grabbed some dry clothes that they could find here, and she's away now. She's resting, but they're still here sort of picking through the pieces in the back, trying to salvage what they can. And this entire neighborhood here was filled with trees on the street. They've got a lot of that cleaned up so crews can get in. Now the home right next to Karen's, let's go ahead and take a look at some video of it. I talked to these folks as well. The granddaughter there with her grandma and grandpa at the time, she says whenever it hit, they were hunkered down. The roof came off, the wind was blowing so hard that she couldn't breathe. It was just blowing in her face. Now, we do know that they were injured a little bit, her grandma and grandpa, and she tells us what happened. Take a listen.
Our chair and he was sitting in his, and this wall right here is actually the one that came down right on top of her. And when it came down on top of her, I actually had to fold it in half because it wouldn't break any other way. So I had to fold it in half and lean it over, and I was able to get that part. But the window right here, this big pan window, is what fell on top of him. So he had glass all in his arm and he was all scratched up. But when I realized that I couldn't get it by myself, I was like, hey, I asked a neighbor, like, come here, because I need help.
You know, that neighbor did come and helped her get her grandma and grandpa to the hospital. Both of them are there right now. The grandma has a knot on her head, a cut on the grandpa's arm. She says they're going to be okay, and thankfully those injuries weren't any worse. We checked with other folks here in this area and they say there were no other injuries to report right now, but a lot of damage to these homes in this area. Crews are still on scene trying to clean up what they can. They're going to be here all day. But again, the best news out of this, that there were no major injuries that came through this area in Van Buren. Reporting live in Van Buren, covering news where you live, Joe Ellison, 5 News.
Thank you so much, Joe. She's been working hard out there and so thankful those people are okay. Right. We've seen lots of damage like that. It's always kind of a shock, even if you know there's going to be severe weather when these storms happen in the early hours or overnight.
Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes like you're sleeping and then all of a sudden you wake up to it, and especially with the roof caving in as well. That's, again, it can be very scary. Like we mentioned, though, thankfully there's no major injuries. So we will kind of show you what the recap was of the area. So again, the major damage there was near the Van Buren area. And there was a little bit kind of scattered about to the south there into portions of Sebastian County, but again, mainly Crawford County. That's where the brunt of it was. Where Joe was just south of the hospital there. You can see in Crawford County, and significant damage to homes. You saw it there with the roofs kind of caving in there. This is about 7:45 this morning. Then off to the northeast there, south of Shibley, that's where they saw that tornado continue, that tornado debris continue. Again, it's not confirmed tornado damage, but we saw the debris signature. You saw the damage there. More than likely, that will be a tornado. In terms of another potential tornado, this was in Vian there in Sequoia County earlier this morning, about 6:55, just short of 7 o'clock. We saw a storm chaser report, a tornado crossing I-40, as well as radar showing this debris signature, if you remember that earlier this morning. So potentially at least 2 tornadoes are going to be coming out of this. Again, right now what we're seeing is some rain starting to move out of the area, maybe just a little bit in Scott and Logan County, but after this moves out, we are done for the day in terms of any really rain, but overall severe weather. Unfortunately, that is not going to last for long. We have another chance early tomorrow morning. We'll talk about that in further detail coming up in your full forecast. Morgan.
Thanks. Danny, and here we're looking at more video of the destruction in Van Buren. The first 911 call from the tornado came in at 7:51 this morning, causing a lot of structural damage around the area. Van Buren police and fire departments quickly responded, and utility companies are now working to restore power through the city and open up roads. We spoke to Van Buren police about their response.
Want to resolve the hazards such as the natural gas leaks and the power lines being down and such, and just make sure the people that live in this city are protected.
City crews have cleared some streets, but officials urge the public to avoid the area until all of those hazards are resolved. Now we're taking a live look at power outages across the area. It looks like in Crawford County, we have about 415 people out. Sebastian, 247, some there. And then in Madison County, just over 1,000 people without power there. Now, right now, about 3,500 customers are without power in Sequoyah County. Emergency Manager Brad Taylor tells 5 News crews that tells 5 News that crews are working to get poles replaced and power restored. While they're seeing some trees across the road, Taylor says there are no reports of structural damage or injuries. Now, we have our crews in the hardest hit areas. We'll keep you updated throughout the day on 5 News Plus Smart TV app. You can download 5 News Plus on your TV and watch for free. While we are learning new details in the manhunt for escaped inmate, convicted killer and rapist Grant Hardin. You'll remember Hardin broke out of Calico Rock Prison nearly 2 weeks ago, wearing what authorities say was a fake law enforcement uniform. We're learning that a tactical Border Patrol unit from Texas has been deployed to help track him in the Ozarks, while Rand Champion with the Department of Corrections says they're still concentrating their efforts in north central Arkansas, the only place with a confirmed sighting. A new federal complaint says U.S. Marshals now believe Hardin may have fled Arkansas.
We understand that there's a lot of thoughts. There have been sightings in Missouri, there have been sightings out of state, but none of those have come to fruition at this point.
Champion says teams from multiple agencies continue to follow up on tips every day because it could be just one that changes everything.
So we find something that substantiates where we believe he would be. We have to continue the search here where we have been this entire time.
Here's a photo of Hardin and a rendering on the right, what authorities think that he may look like after 2 weeks on the run. Well, 2 people are now accused of manslaughter after a Logan County crash ended in 2 deaths. Mackenzie and Maddie Arthur were killed in a crash on May 30th after a car bumped their vehicle across a center line and into an oncoming truck. 71-year-old Martha Phillips and a juvenile were arrested on Wednesday and booked into the Logan County Jail on 2 counts of manslaughter. Phillips' charge stems from her role in giving the vehicle to the minor who didn't have a driver's license. Mackenzie was a student at Arkansas Tech University, while Maddie was a rising senior at Scranton High School, and that case is ongoing. In other news, we're getting in new Arkansas sales numbers for medical marijuana, and if they hold, this could be a record-breaking year. Nearly 40 open dispensaries across Arkansas sold $121 million worth of medical marijuana from January 1st to May 31st of this year. That's a more than $7 million increase over the same time frame in 2024. Scott Hardin with the Arkansas Department of Finance and Administration says this was a surprise to his office because last year actually saw a drop in sales over 2023. He says not only are patients buying more product, there are more of them making those purchases.
But as far as patient cards, we're up to 110,000 patients in the state, which again, when Arkansans approved this, pushing almost 10 years ago, it was in 2016, we assumed that it'd be about 50,000 when the market was fully mature. However, today there are 110,000 people with active patient cards.
Hardin says Arkansans are averaging $800,000 in sales each day. If that continues, 2025 will be a record year. Well, the Hogs are just one series away from a trip to Omaha. After a hard-fought SEC finale against Tennessee, Arkansas hoping to repeat its success as the 2 teams meet again this weekend with much more on the line. Arkansas took 2 of 3 from Tennessee in their regular season matchup thanks to timely hitting and strong bullpen work. Now with the College World Series berth at stake, the Hogs will need to lean on smart base running, sharp defense, and clutch contact at the plate to keep their Omaha hopes alive. 5. First pitch is set for 4 tomorrow at Baum-Walker Stadium. Tonight at 10:15, our sports team is taking over in a 5 News extra inning special. Razorback fans can catch up on everything ahead of this weekend's rematch with Tennessee with live coverage at Baum-Walker Stadium throughout the weekend. You don't want to miss it. Well,